Hi everybody and welcome to our session. Today we would like to talk about KNX and DALI and especially about DALI gateways and DALI actuators. So here we can see different devices from our KNX DALI portfolio. On the left you can see a new device which is a 4-channel DALI actuator, the DM4 DALI. And here you can see our standard gateways, which are a single master application controller, 1-channel, 2-channel, DALI Gateway S64 and S128 KNX. And on the right you can see DALI Gateway P64 KNX, which is also a new device. So let's start with the new DALI actuator. DM4 DALI KNX is a 4-module actuator with some buttons on the front for the manual operation. It's a new device. You have 4 channels and all 4 channels are communicating in the DALI line with broadcast communication. You can connect up to 30 control gears to each channel, and all the control gears which are connected to the channel will receive the broadcast information from the DALI actuator. Thanks to the broadcast communication, the commissioning and also the maintenance is very easy because you have not to worry about the DALI addresses, the grouping in the DALI system or whatever, because it's a broadcast communication. You just have to connect the DALI control gears to the channel, and all the control gears will do exactly the same like all others which are connected to this channel. Included with this DALI actuator we have color control, so we can control color and color temperature according to DALI Device Type 8, and it's a DALI 2 certified device, and we have included a secure communication following the KNX Data Secure standard. So here we can see a system diagram how we can connect different devices to the DALI actuator. In this case we have connected, for example, to the channel 1 different DALI control gears, and we have connected also, for example, a DALI relay, which is in this case the SU1 DALI 2 from our portfolio, which has also a DALI interface and a floating contact. We will talk about this product a little bit later. In this scheme you also can see that all the push buttons, the push button interfaces, the presence motion detectors and so on are connected to the DALI line. So let's say the DALI actuator is the bridge between the KNX and the DALI communication. On top you can see some DALI parts which are supported from the DALI actuator DM4, which are fluorescent lamps, discharge lamps, incandescent LED modules, switching relays like SU1 DALI 2, and also DALI Device Type 8, which is DALI Part 209 color control. Color control in DALI. With the DALI actuator we have different possibilities to control color temperature or to control the color. All of them are following the DALI Device Type 8, and we can select if we would like to have on the channel color temperature control, then we have a 2-byte communication object, or we can select, we will see this later on also in the ETS, if we would like to have a color control with RGB or RGBW with additional white, then we have a 3-byte communication object, which means 1 byte for each color, and the same with RGBW. We have RGBW, we have a 6-byte communication object which is specified for this communication or for this function in the KNX world. Color control is also included with our keypads with the ION range. So with the ION push buttons you have also the possibility to select these data point types in the application, and we have a very easy integration of color or color temperature control in a KNX DALI system. It's very easy because everything is prepared on the KNX side. We are using the communication objects which are up to date, and we have a very easy DALI device with no need for DALI commissioning, addressing, grouping, and so on. So it's just connect the DALI devices, and it's very similar to a phase control dimming actuator which we had in our KNX range. Additionally to the color control, we have also the possibility to activate on each channel a function which is called our counter, or we can select a counter for a service interval. So in this example, we have said that we would like to have a counter to activate a communication object, which is this object, service required. It's a 1-bit object, sorry. And then we can set a time. We have the possibility to read out the time to the next service, and if the time is reached, for example, 8,500 hours, then we get information that a service is required, and for example, we can do a replacement of the lamp or whatever. So let's take a look into the application. Here we have the DALI actuator DM4 DALI KNX, and we have 4 different channels. And with each channel, we have different settings which are very similar to the settings which we have also with our standard phase control dimming actuators. What is different? Different is definitely the possibility to activate the color control. If we activate the color control, we get another channel, and in this channel we can define, okay, on channel 1, what would we like to have? Would we like to have color temperature control, or would we like to have RGB or RGBW? If we set color temperature, we have the possibility to set a color temperature for forced mode or for permanent on mode. We can also define the response when switching on. Should it be the last color temperature, or would we like to switch on always with a predefined color temperature? We can also set, for example, the time for the color change, and this is exactly the same if we select, for example, color control RGB. We have the possibility to set if we would like to use a combined object. In this case, it's a 3-byte object, or if we would like to have separate objects. For example, if we select combined, then we have different possibilities to connect this, for example, in the KNX world with push buttons. I've told you the Eon series has the possibility to control with these data point types, 3-byte and 6-byte. But I guess there are some other devices available in the KNX world which do not use the new data point types, but they control, for example, RGB with 3 finger communication objects. So in this case, we have 3 objects which are all 3 1-byte. 1-byte for red, for green, and another byte for blue color control. All the other settings are exactly the same like we have it with our standard dimming actuators. So it's very easy. We do not need an ETS app, and there is no need to do a DALI commissioning thanks to the DALI broadcast communication. So let's go back to the slides. So here we can see the combination of the DALI actuator together with our switching relay SU1 DALI 2. And here we can see also the information from the database, from the DALI database. There you can take a look which manufacturers are DALI 2 certified, and you can select products. And if you select the products, then you have the information which DALI parts are supported from this device. In this case, for example, we have here the DALI actuator, DM for DALI KNX, and you can see the support for switching following DALI part 208 is activated, and also with the SU1 DALI 2 relay we have the information that this device is following DALI part 208, and so we have the information, yes, these devices can be used together, and we have the possibility to connect not only DALI control gears to one channel, but we also can connect the relay and include, for example, a lamp which do not offer a DALI interface, and then we have the possibility to switch this lamp at least also on off with all other DALI lamps which are connected to this channel. So the summary of this new device, DM4 DALI KNX, it is a broadcast communication. This is very important because we do not have the need to do a DALI addressing or DALI grouping. We just connect up to 30 DALI control gears to one channel. So it's very easy for commissioning and also for maintenance. And we also have included with each channel possibility to control the DALI devices in color temperature or in color with the current available data point types in the KNX world. We do not need an ETS app for the commissioning. So the application, ETS application is very, very simple. And yes, the device is following definitely DALI 2 certification or DALI 2 standard. And we have included secure communication following KNX Data Secure, like we have it with all current and new KNX devices in our range. So we have talked about the 4-channel DALI actuator. Now let's talk about another new product, which is a new DALI gateway. It's called DALI Gateway P64 KNX. It's also a new device. And it is defined as a Multimaster Application controller. It's a very special function. So let's take a closer look to this new DALI gateway, which is now available in our range. It is a 1-channel DALI gateway. And with the 1-channel DALI gateway, we can connect up to 64 DALI control gears on the DALI line. Additionally, to the 64 DALI control gears, we can connect up to 8 DALI 2 sensors. And in this case, we can connect motion and brightness sensors. And this defines also the Multimaster Application controller, because in this case, we do not have a gateway which can only communicate with DALI lamps or with DALI control gears, but can also receive information from other DALI devices. So then it is a Multimaster Application controller with the device. Also included is a web server. The web server can be used for the DALI commissioning. So we have the possibility to do the DALI commissioning in the ETS with the device configuration app. Or we have the possibility to connect in the local network to the web server, and then we have the possibility to do the DALI commissioning and move around in the building, for example, to use a tablet, connect to the web server, go around and check which lamps has which DALI address, and to do the grouping and all this stuff. Also included with the DALI Gateway P64 is a time module and an effect module. Effect module, for example, can be used to have effects, especially, for example, with the color control. Can be very interesting. With the effect module, we can set, for example, that we first would like to have a red color for a predefined time, and then we have a fading time, and then we change to the green color for a predefined time, and so on. And the time module can be used for the same, but the time module very often is used to simulate daylight. Sometimes we heard about human-centric lighting. In this case, we can use the time function of the DALI gateway, and we can set, for example, start at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then we would like to have a defined color temperature, and from 9 o'clock we would like to have another color temperature. And we also can set the fade time, and by this you can set different color temperatures over the day until, for example, 18 o'clock or whatever, and then we stop with the change of the color temperature. So it's a very powerful function, the time module and the effects module in this DALI gateway. Color control is done according to DALI Device Type 8, which is DALI part 209. And yes, we're following the DALI 2 standard. And also this device supports a secure communication in your smart building following KNX Data Secure. Here we can see some schemes or system diagrams. What is the difference between a single master application controller and a multi-master application controller? On this side we can see that in the ceiling with the DALI control gears we have also a green line, which is KNX, which is connected, for example, to presence or to motion detectors. So we have in the ceiling the DALI line for the lamps, and we have in the ceiling the KNX line for the KNX presence or motion detectors. This is with a single master application controller. If we have a device which is defined as multi-master application controller, it's completely different, because then we have in the ceiling only the DALI line, and the presence or motion detectors are connected directly to the DALI line following the DALI parts 303 and 304. So it can be a benefit, definitely, in regards to the wiring, because there is no need to have the green wire in the ceiling, and we can connect everything to the DALI line. The same here, we can see we have the DALI Gateway P64, it's connected to the KNX line, and in this case we have different DALI control gears connected up to 64. For example, Tironda DALI 2, which is a DALI 2 presence sensor, can be connected to the line, and we can connect also the DALI relay SU1 DALI 2, which is a switching actuator. On top we can see the DALI parts, which are included with the multi-master application controller DALI Gateway P64, which are fluorescent lamps, and we can also control emergency lighting with a single battery or with a central battery. All other things, I think it's standard: discharge lamps, incandescent LED modules, switching relays, this one. And very important, part 303 and 304, which is defined for the communication with motion detectors and with brightness sensors. The configuration and the commissioning of the DALI devices can be done in the ETS with a device configuration app. Here we can see a screenshot of the device configuration app, or it can be done alternatively with the included web server. So both things are possible. You have to activate in the application, we will see this later on in the ETS, the web server functionality, and you can do also different settings regarding the web server. What is important? Important is that there is a different commissioning for the motion detectors. So you can see on the left, and you can see also here in the screenshot from the web server, we have electronic control gear settings, and we have motion detector settings. So we have to do both of them individually. If we have some DALI 2 sensors connected to the device, for example, the Tironda DALI 2 presence detector, it will be detected, and then we can also do different settings in the ETS application of the DALI Gateway. For example, we can do the settings for the delay time, like we have it with all motion detectors. We can define, okay, which kind of object should be sent in the event of motion. Should it be a switch object, a value object, or if you would like to call a scene with a scene communication object? Should it be sent cyclically? Should it be possible to deactivate the motion sensor? And additionally, we have the possibility to say, is there a brightness sensor available, yes or no? With our DALI 2 sensors, for example with the Tironda, there is always a brightness sensor on board. So we have, let's say, two instances. One is motion and the other one is brightness value. So if we select yes, there is information about the current brightness. We have also the possibility to say yes, brightness depending switching should be activated. And then we can set a threshold, for example, in this case 500 lux. And then both instances are combined with each other. So only if the brightness level is below 500 lux and we have a motion, then we get the information from the communication object. But we also have to note that it is a small package of functions included in the Multimaster Application controller. So it's not the same like we have it, for example, with our KNX presence detectors, because with the KNX presence detectors we have the possibility to do a constant light individually for the lights on the window. We can add a third channel and so on. So it's a very powerful application with the KNX presence detectors, and it's not the same like if we connect a DALI 2 sensor to the Multimaster Application controller. But also, if we have only the information from the brightness, for example, we also have the possibility to activate, for example, a threshold. So if we activate the threshold, in this case, for example, 500 lux, then we can do a settings behavior when the value is below the threshold to send an on telegram or to send an off telegram. For example, we can use the brightness information from the DALI sensor to lock a manual switch on of the lights if the brightness is bigger than 500 lux, for example. Or we can switch off automatically if the brightness is 1000 lux and all this stuff. So we can use the combination of the Multimaster Application controller together with DALI 2 presence sensors, for example, for storage rooms, for toilets, for floors. So there are a lot of possible applications, and the benefit is definitely that we only have to set this in one application, in the application of the Multimaster Application controller, and we do not have an application from a KNX detector and a DALI gateway. It's combined in one application, and yes, definitely we have a much more easier wiring, because we do not need the KNX green wire in the ceiling together with the DALI control gears. So let's take a look to the ETS and what is behind all these functions in the DALI Gateway P64 KNX. We have a lot of parameter settings with this device because it's very powerful and we have a lot of functions. We can do, for example, the settings in regards to the mentioned web server. We can say, should the web server be activated, yes or no? If we activate the web server, we can do different settings regarding the IP address, the authentication, the restrictions of the user account. Should he be able to control the lights, to modify scenes or effects configuration, and so on. So this is the first special settings which is available only with the DALI Gateway P64 KNX with the web server functionality. And then we have the 16 groups, because we can add the 64 DALI control gears in up to 16 groups. And we also have the possibility to control the DALI lamps or the control gears individually. And so we have up to 64 settings for the single control gears. And on top, because it is a Multimaster Application controller, we have the parameter settings for the motion detectors, and we can connect up to 8. So we have here 8 motion detector channels, and with these channels we can define the behavior of the motion detectors, or let's say of the information, motion and brightness. Regarding the DALI configuration, if we take a look into the device configuration app, we can go to the commissioning and let's start a new installation, for example. And this is exactly the same like we have it with our existing DALI gateways, also with the standard gateways S64, S128. And now the DALI device will detect some DALI control gears, hopefully. And then we will see them on the right side. And now we have the possibility, for example, to identify the devices. So we can say, okay, this device seems to be a device type 8 device with color control, and if we switch it on, we can see it in the panel how we can identify the device in the system. But now we only have the DALI control gears, and in this case, for example, the switching relay, our DALI relay SU1, DALI 2, but we also have connected motion detectors. So we have to go to the motion detectors and do the same. We start, in this case, a new installation. Then the DALI gateway will detect all the connected brightness and motion sensors. And after this, if we have connected, for example, 2 devices, we have the possibility to identify who is who. So which DALI sensor is it? And if we go to, for example, the second one, and we start identify, then we can see that the LED of the device is flashing. Yes. So in this case, we can see that the DALI 2 sensor, which you can see on the panel, is DALI device input 01. And if we stopped identifying, we can take this one, say, okay, this is, for example, the first sensor which is included. We can add a description to this device, for example, motion sensor in the floor. And so it is important to know that the commissioning is has to be done individually for the DALI control gears, or for the DALI lamps, and for the DALI motion detectors. Here we can see another picture of the informations which can be found on the website of DIIA. In the database on the website, you can find all the DALI 2 certified products. And if you search for Theben products, then we can find, for example, DALI Gateway P64, the Multimaster Application controller, and then we can also see which DALI parts are supported from this device. And in this case, we can see, okay, DALI part 208 is supported. And if we take a look to the DALI relay, it is also following DALI part 208. So yes, these both devices can be combined. We can connect the DALI relay to the DALI gateway. And we also can see that the DALI Gateway P64, because it is a multi-master application controller, supports the motion detectors and brightness sensors, which are part 303, 304. And the same, for example, with a presence detector from our range. They are also following 303 and 304 standard. Motion detectors or presence detectors, for example, can be T-Ronda P360 or T-Ronda S360. Both of them are DALI 2 certified devices, and both of them provide information about motion or presence and about the brightness value. So these devices can be connected to the Multimaster Application controller to combine the information directly in the DALI gateway. T-Ronda P, for example, is a presence detector with a detection area 24 meters in diameter, and T-Ronda S360 is, let's say, the same device, but with a smaller detection range, 8 meters in diameter. So it is very easy, especially if you are using the information in the DALI database to check, okay, which devices can talk to each other, which devices support which DALI parts. And then we have the possibility to combine, for example, presence detectors directly with the Multimaster Application controller, and there is no need for a KNX wire in the ceiling. Or we can also include with the switching relay, with the SU1 DALI 2 relay, we can include also, for example, lamps which do not provide a DALI interface. And at least we can connect them to the relay and can switch them on and off. So here we have the summary about the new DALI Gateway P64 KNX. Important is that it is a multi-master application controller. So it's completely different to a gateway which is defined as single master application controller. We have one channel, up to 64 DALI control gears, up to 8 motion and brightness sensors. We have an included web server for the DALI commissioning, which is a very nice function. We have the possibility color control. We have the effect module and the time module. Also, in regards to the color temperature and color control, it can be a very interesting function. The device is following DALI 2 standards. Yes, definitely. It supports emergency lights, DALI Device Type 1. And we have a secure communication following KNX Data Secure. So, what else? We have talked about 2 new devices. The very easy DALI actuator, 4-channel, DM4 DALI, and we have talked about the Multimaster Application controller, the big block in the KNX DALI world. And now I would like to talk also about our standard gateways. I guess you know them because they are available since I guess 1 year or whatever, and we have them in our range as a 1-channel DALI gateway S64, and we have them with a 2-channel version S128. And we have some news regarding these DALI gateways, because in the past we have had the possibility to control with each DALI gateway up to 64, or with the 2-channel 2x64 DALI control gears in groups. But there has not been the possibility to control the DALI control gears individual. And now we have an update available. And with the update, we have a new firmware, which is firmware 0.3. We have a new ETS application, version 2, and we have a new device configuration app for the ETS, which is also version 2. And with the new firmware and the new application, we have the possibility to include individual control to the existing DALI gateways. And it is also possible to do the update directly in the field, because the update can be done with SD card. So you can download on our product page the firmware package and also the application and everything which is needed. And you can use the SD card and do the update directly on the device. We have to note that it is a big update because we add additional function. We add the individual control with up to 64, let's say, channels, or 2 times 64 channels for the individual control. And because of this, all data in existing devices will be deleted. So if you update a device from the current version 0.2.8 to the new version 0.3.3, all the data will be deleted in the DALI gateway. Because of this, it is needed to use the restore function in the device configuration app and, let's say, to read back the DALI configuration into the device. How can you get this update? You can go directly to the web page, and with each device you have a section downloads, and in downloads you can find the operating instructions, a handbook, datasheet, and so on. And you also have one download which is called KNX Database. And with the KNX Database you get a package, and this package includes the old application for the ETS, which is version 1, and a file for a firmware downgrade. So, for example, if you have to replace an older device and you get a new device with the current firmware 0.3 with individual control, you do not have the possibility to download your existing application in your ETS project to this device because it's a new firmware, and the new firmware for individual control needs to have a new application. And then you can use the downgrade file and downgrade the firmware of the new DALI device to firmware 2.8, and then you can download it with your existing ETS application from your existing ETS project. But it's also possible to use the second folder, and in the second folder you have the update file, and this can be used to update existing devices in the field. So if you have an older DALI Gateway, S64 in this example, you can use this update file and update the device with an SD card, and then afterwards, sure, you have to use the new application, which is ETS application version 2, and then you have a DALI gateway which can also control the DALI control gears individually. Additionally, with this package you have some information regarding the firmware in different languages, and there you may find also additional information how the update can be done, what has to be noted, and so on. And yes, all this can be found in our download section in the KNX database. So now we have talked about our KNX DALI portfolio. The new device, 4-channel DALI actuator, a very interesting device because we have a very easy commissioning and a very easy maintenance. We do not need additional tools. We just have to connect the DALI control gears to one channel. Up to 30 DALI control gears can be connected to one channel. And then we have nearly the same like we have it today with our phase control dimming actuator. So it's plug and play, let's say. But additionally, in the DALI world, we have the possibility to control color temperature or color following DALI Device Type 8. And the new device supports KNX Data Secure. Then we have talked about the functional update for the existing standard gateways, S64 and S128, which allows the individual control additionally. And we also have talked about our big block, the DALI Gateway P64, our Multimaster Application controller, and the possibility in combination with our DALI 2 sensors, which can be connected directly to the DALI line. A device with effect module, web server, so it's a very, very powerful device. And it is also supporting a secure communication following the KNX Data Secure standard. So, I would like to say thank you for your attention. If you need any additional information, please visit our webpage. There you may find all the contacts and all the information about the products. And yes, hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.